Alright, there we go, guys. Got the head in there, bolted down. Got my pry bar in there right now. Basically, it's just holding the exhaust manifold away so I can get to the bolts on the bottom there of the head. I didn't unbolt the exhaust at all. It comes apart pretty easy. You don't have to. So yeah, just got that in there. So now I just got to look up the torque specs, torque down the head appropriately as it should be from the factory. Then put the push rods back in there, the rocker arms in there, put the intake back on, valve cover, and drain the fluids, and you put fresh fluids in there and we should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and torque it down. Then I'll put the intake back on and I'll give you, take some more video footage of that. Man, I really need my next one, I'm going to take the time out and set something up. Normally on cars I can, I could just use my stand. I got my little tripod I got, but this truck, it's it's chest high for me. I'm 5'9", so, and this truck's chest high. I gotta sit in here. I'm gonna put the camera back up on top of my desk. Maybe I'll be able to, zoom in. Maybe you guys can see what's going on. I doubt it. But I'll put it back up there and we'll keep rolling. Just wanted to give you guys a quick little look at what we got going on. And literally, guys, this couldn't have took me more than 15 minutes, if that, to get this on here and get it snug into place. Now I'm going to get the torque spec. So that's going to take a little bit because you got to take your time and just make sure the nuts and bolts are torqued down. But after that, slap the intake back on. I mean, another hour maximum worth of work, and this thing's going to be ready to go. So let's see what we get. Alright, finally got the head installed, torqued down, exhaust bolted up as it should be. So now I just got to get the intake on there. If you notice, I got a few more tools out here. Got my tap and die set over there. And the issue is that the head that the customer got, he got from a junkyard, and it was the right side head, or bank 2. And the head that we needed was bank 1. The only difference that I noticed was this here. And that is where the coolant temp sensor was. And on the right side head, which is now on the truck, that's all that was there. It was just a little plug, plugged it off, no big deal. So I swapped those out, put the coolant temp sensor in the other head, and just put that in there so I don't lose it, and bolted it up. But then I noticed on this head, this is where the crossover tube goes for the coolant, so it can breathe, air pockets and stuff can escape. And on this one, in the back has the same thing, except the actual coolant passage is blocked off. There's nothing there. So on the head that I got, that the customer gave to me, that is not blocked off. I did not notice that until after I had the head on there already. So I went ahead and used this head as my test head and found a bolt, drill, and tap, which ended up being the 8mm by 125 is what I used. So I drilled that out, tapped it, worked perfectly. So I did the same on the truck. Let me show you what I got. Okay. So if you see that bolt back there, get a little closer here. Sorry for the horrible cameraman skills, but this bolt right here, zoom in on it right there. That bolt right there, where you can see the little Teflon tape I got on there. I had to drill that out, tap it, and put the bolt in there, which would have been a, I don't know, 5-minute maximum ordeal. But because it was in the truck, it probably took me, I don't know, easily an hour, I would think. just up there fighting with it. But if I noticed that while I was sitting out there on the lift, I mean, 5 minutes max, and I would have been done. So just for everybody doing that, you want to pay attention to these little differences. In case you run into that, you don't want to put it together and then have coolant just pouring out the back of your head and you don't know why. And my first guess, if that would have happened, would have been the head gasket. I didn't seat the head properly, you know. So luckily I seen that, took care of it. No, it's not going to be an issue. And the other head, it's blocked off in the back, you know. So yeah, maybe some they use a rear and a forward tube, crossover tube, and some don't. But in any event, I blocked it off. No big deal. Only lost an hour. But next time, you know, that won't happen. That, you know, from now on, that'd be the first thing I'd look for. So now we're going to go ahead and put the valve train back together, bolt that up, get the coil packs and everything on there. Then I'll slap the intake on there and get the alternator bolted back up, because that's the only thing I took off of the pulley system here was the alternator. So I'll bolt the alternator back up, get everything plugged back in, change the fluids out, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so I got it all back together, did the first start up, and it had an active miss, or a dead miss. Wasn't sure what was going on, but I put the scanner on it and see that 6 and 8 had a misfire. And when I put it together, the wiring, I believe, I'm not sure if it was the ignition coil or the injectors, but they were really close together, and I mixed them up and put 6 on 8 and 8 on 6. So it took me a few minutes to figure that out. Figured that out, swapped it back around, and it runs perfectly. No more tick, no more miss, and the car runs like a dream. The only issue would have been that head, you know, being the right side head. If I didn't catch the port in the back there for the coolant, that would have really sucked, because I would have had it all together. Went to fill up the coolant and noticed an issue, because I use a vacuum lift to fill the system, so that way you know you don't have any air pockets. So I would have noticed something then, but it would have really sucked. You have to tear it all back apart. But yeah, all in all, I think it went pretty smoothly. It didn't take too long, and it worked out good for me. I don't know if you can hear it there, but I was saying if that's not the problem, then it's going to run really bad. A lot worse than what it was running. Fortunately, that was the issue, but I wasn't sure if that was a problem or not, because those two connectors were so close to each other that it was, you know, it was hard to tell if they were right or wrong. But they were definitely backwards. Yeah, they were definitely wrong. So I wasn't sure. Worked out. Yeah, not a big deal. They were definitely backwards. So, let's get a close up here. I had 6 and 8 fuel injector connectors. See them back there. Those 2 little green tabs. Had those swapped. Wasn't sure when I put it together. It looked like that's the way they went. Obviously they did it. But now it's running great. That's it. So I'll just wipe everything down one last time. You know, any grease or handprints or foot marks on the bumper or any of that stuff. Take it for a test drive and call the customer.